Take advantage of the day. When you get an opportunity in this game, you make a play. The playmakers on three. 1, 2, 3.
Touchdown, Kansas City! The Chiefs are right in the thick of it, baby!
Here we are, Chiefs Kingdom. The Defending the Kingdom podcast, Super Bowl 55. Mitch Holthus with you, along with the man we call the shop, the barber shop, the Spider-Man, 10-year NFL veteran, and Chiefs ambassador, Shawn Barber. Okay, we're going to start this one. By the way, I'm rocking the headphones. Rocking, you got them? Got them? There they are. Yep, it'll change your life. Romance is headed your way if you buy these. These are the Bose 700s. Great for Valentine's Day. And you can find them at Bose.com. There's just a drop-down headphones. Whoop, drop them. There they are. 11 levels of noise cancellation. All right. If we started this, I should have a sound effects to start this Defending the Kingdom episode, because it would start 60 minutes. Not the famous TV show for what, like 5 decades. That was, hey, if 60 Minutes shows up, you get nervous, right? But this is the 60 Minutes version of Defending the Kingdom, because here we are, shop, looking at a second mountaintop, looking at being historic, because this has not happened in winning back-to-back Super Bowls for anybody in this league for 16 years, and the Chiefs are staring at a second mountaintop. But all of the talk, all of the chatter, all of the yakety-yak, how much does this boil down to? 60 minutes of football, about 70 snaps both ways, and 10 possessions both ways.
Hey, as they said back in the day, it's time to put up or shut up. And I was reading your lips earlier. I didn't have my Bose on. I didn't have my earphones on. So a good thing I'm a great lip reader. So I was reading your lips. I was like, I don't get no sound. I was like, my Bose earphones, man, it's almost Valentine's Day. Shh. Make sure, get your lucky lady a pair of these. She will love you for the rest of the year, man. These Bose 700s are outstanding. Like you said, man, 60 minutes to get it done, 60 minutes to live in history, to make history. We've been talking about each game in the playoff. You got to make your tomorrow. You got to make your tomorrow. You got to go on from the wild card weekend to the divisional to the championship weekend. But now it's the big game. Now you're in the Super Bowl. This is what everybody trained for 10, 12 months for. Ever since the last one, everybody's been training with a focus. How can they position themselves to best get to this game, to be a part of this opportunity, to be in Super Bowl 55? And it's time for our Chiefs to have the opportunity to go back-to-back and do what only, I think, 7 other teams in history has done, go back-to-back, winning Super Bowl champion.
7 teams have done it. It's only happened 8 times. Pittsburgh did it twice back in the 70s Steel Curtain days. Okay, here is the balance, because we have seen this game over a 5-decade-plus period eat some people alive. Scott Norwood missing those Buffalo kicks, like you can't live them down. We've seen guys freak out, have like the worst moments of their lives because the stage is so big and the lights are so bright. But, and people have asked me all along, national, regional shows that we've both been on and on constantly, day by day by day, protection of the Chiefs, losing Eric Fisher. But how much of this is a balance? Yes, you're on this huge stage, but just making sure you concentrate that it's really 10 possessions, 70 snaps, 60 game minutes.
Man, as a guy who's played the game, it's all about controlling the moment. Understanding that everything outside of your focus is just outside noise. It's a distraction. And even your own excitement can sometimes be a distraction. So that's when you talk about being a pro's pro, understanding that all we need for everybody, all 53 guys on our roster, do your job. Do your job consistently, execute every play, trust your teammate, communicate, the same thing you've been doing all season long. No one needs to put on any Superman case for this team to become victorious. And we understand the moment. We understand the moment more recently than any other team, because we just came through it last year down in Miami, Florida. So if anybody understands this moment and is ready and prepared with the amount of experience throughout the roster, for our guys to talk amongst each other. But we have some guys that are so excited because last year they missed the opportunity due to injury in the late season. And those guys have a chance to be a part of something they missed last year, a special moment to go out there, honor your team, honor your fan base, play with so much passion and energy and excitement. Lose control, be who you are, but understand controlled environment, a controlled insanity. That's what's going to win this ball game. The team that executes and handles the moment and handles the excitement the best. And I believe our leader, Pat Mahomes, will have the seas calm. He'll have every man ready. He'll have every guy laser focused on their job and their opportunity. And they'll go out there and play their best and let the scoreboard take care of itself.
Yeah, and so will that big guy with the big red mustache with the big red, coat on. That's last week. You can go back if you missed it. Big Red Ready. That's last week's episode. You brought up something though that I think is very key here. For me, being in this league 27 years, being around this team as a little kid, as a fan, waiting 50 years for that Super Bowl to get it last year, I can't imagine what it would have been like to have missed it because I was sick or injured. And I remember talking to Juan Thornhill after the game in that euphoric locker room. And Juan's a good dude, man. He has got a bright future in this league and with this franchise. And he was happy, but you could just see it in his eyes. Like there was just something not quite there. And he didn't get to play in that game. And I was praying, thinking, man, I hope he gets a chance to do this. It's the next year he gets a chance to do it. He's not alone. Because Alex Okafor is in this boat. Andrew Wiley, who's got a big bright light shining on him because he's got to move to right tackle because of the injury to Fisher, moving Wisniewski to right guard and all the shifting. He didn't get to play in this game last year. And here's another one shot. Darrell Williams, who has become the 4-minute monster and maybe the most unsung hero of this year's playoff run. He didn't get to play in this game either last year. And all 4 of these cats, I put it out on Twitter earlier today, all 4 of these guys can have significant impact in winning this game. They get another 60 minutes and a chance to play. I love it for these 4 guys, and I know they're going to bring it.
Well, you talk about how much you missed an opportunity and understand it, even though we won the game and we had the ring ceremony, and it was such an exciting time to be a part of Kansas City with the celebration and the parade, it was still something missing. You could, like you say, it's still a little gleam in your eye that you did not go out and perform on that stage. Yes, you got the ring. You know you paid your dues all season long. So you're just as committed. You sacrificed and gave as much as everybody else did on that team throughout a 12-month period. But you still didn't have a chance to taste that sweet nectar, to stand in those end zones, to warm up on that field, to see those lights flash on that opening kickoff, to know what it's like to hear Mitch Holthus say, "Touchdown, Kansas City" on a Super Bowl Sunday. It's one chance for that. They got one opportunity, and they have a chance to capture that moment Sunday in Tampa Bay, Raymond James Stadium, Super Bowl 55. I know those guys are so excited. And let's not forget, Byron Pringle gets to go home to Tampa Bay. Hometown, Byron Pringle, K-State's own Wildcat, gets to go back home and fight in front of his family and friends.
That is incredibly awesome. He gets that shot, and he'll be ready to go because it seems like he's ready to go every time he goes out there. He's asked to do 100 things, and he does them all very well. Let's jump into some of the X's and O's of this game, and this is where the 60 minutes gets involved too. People have said the protection of the Chiefs. Okay, we've alluded to it already. And here comes a furious Tampa Bay defense. We saw Jason Pierre-Paul, Shaq Barrett, maybe the most underrated defender in the National Football League when you look at what he's done over the past couple of years. Levante David at linebacker. When you look at Devin White at linebacker, and Ndamukong Suh, Vea William Golston. These guys are studs, and 7 takeaways in the playoffs. How are the Chiefs going to protect Patrick Mahomes? Think about it. 60 minutes, 70 possessions, 10 possessions, 70 plays. You don't have to do this for 2 months. You don't have to do this for an entire season. You've got to lock in and trust Andy Reid in those protection schemes for 60 minutes, 10 possessions, 70 plays.
Definitely, their D-line versus the RO line is going to be a matchup for the H's. That's going to be where everybody is focused on that kickoff from the first possession, especially throughout their first 10 plays until there's a rhythm in the game. What I believe is that Andy Reid, because of his experience, he knows how he can affect a defensive line, not just by his personnel and who lines up where, but we can use formations. We can put 2 tights, go 12. We can go to bunch sets. You also use play calling. screens, jet sweeps, either way. All of those things affect a 9 techniques focus, his attention to detail, how hard he comes off the ball. If you don't let those 9 techniques just pin their ears back and go all pass by running draws, screens, anything kind of delay up the middle, it forces them to slow down. And when they slow down, the playing field becomes equal. The one thing that both of those guys, Shaq Barrett and JPP, they have an amazing first step. We can't take that away from them. They are tremendous athletes, and they both have amazing first steps. But if you watch them in film, you get them off sides a few times. Sometimes they are guessing. Sometimes a hard count can be used, and we know Pat has a great hard count, can be used to really slow their motor and get those guys thinking. Instead of just being able to rush the passer, there's a lot more to the game those 9 techniques going to have to worry about. They're going to have to worry about Pat scrambling. They're going to have to worry about draws. They're going to have to worry about the jet sweeps. They're going to have to be worrying about formations, chip blocks from our running backs. There's a plethora of things Andy Reid can do. And because he's so knowledgeable about the game, I think he can implement a lot of those factors without losing any momentum from his play calling ability.
One of the things I've learned from Andy Reid, and especially since 2015, when he was playing, think about it, Von Miller and Shaq Barrett, that great Denver defense that won Super Bowl 50. I've learned from Andy Reid that you block people without blocking people. Seriously, like that, you just alluded to it. And all of a sudden you got all this going on, whether it's jet action, ghost action, the screens, the wide screens, the inside screens, that all of a sudden I can block you without even touching you. And Andy Reid I think he's the master of it right now in the National Football League. One thing, while we're still on this kind of Chiefs offense against protections, against the Buccaneers front 7, basically, or if they blitz, Todd Bowles loves to blitz. It was interesting. In the game in November, if you go back to that week 11 or 12 game, the Buccaneers blitzed Patrick Mahomes on only 17% of his dropbacks. That was the fewest for Todd Bowles in 2 years. And I like Todd Bowles, heck of a coach, but his blitz rate is 6th in the league. Overall, when you look at it, the Chiefs are 4th in the blitz rate. We'll get to that in a second. But I'm just curious of how Todd Bowles will handle this. They're going to play press off. He got killed in press in November. Tyreek Hill was going to have a bazillion yards, 200 at the first quarter. How's Todd Bowles going to play this, and how much of a guessing game's involved?
Well, Todd Bowles definitely has a lot of experience, obviously his years back in Philly, so he knows the offense. He knows some of the core things about it. But this offense has developed, blossomed, flourished so far from when Andy was in Philly with Donovan McNabb and Jeff Garcia. This offense is completely different. It is completely different weapons, and the way he's using those weapons is unlike we've seen anyone in the past. So I don't think that that's going to be such a great asset. What I do bring up is that the Tampa Bay defense, if you watch them, let's go back a week. Let's watch them 2 weeks ago against the New Orleans Saints. They played the Saints twice in the regular season. Both times the Saints blow them out. They can't stop their offense. Big points. In the third game, you would think, after being blown out twice, you would change up some stuff. He didn't. He stayed with his thing. He stayed with the same concepts. They played the exact same zones and man coverages. What you did see, they amped up the physicality. Their safeties, their corners, they were jamming and rerouting. They were hitting everything moving. They were taking some cheap shots even on all levels, on every level. The intensity and the physicality did ramp up. And so if there's something I see that's going to be a different page or something different between now and week 12 when we play them, is I see them trying to uptick the physicality, trying to be very physical with our guys right out the chute, try to create some misunderstanding between Pat Mahomes and the receivers as far as their route concepts. And I think that our speed and the way we played and the way we develop routes and our instinctiveness because of our receivers, that physicality is going to be nullified, especially because that injury to Whitehead, their hard-hitting safety, whatever he's got going on, I don't think 2 weeks can heal it up. So I think if you take back his ability to hit hard, he becomes very average and normal. And the back end is facing the Buccaneers are facing a lot of injury problems that I think our offense can really take advantage and expose early in the game and then to finish them off.
There's a lot of reasons why the Bucs are in this game and why they won 3 road games. I mean, this is a wild card team that got in there, but If you boil all the stuff down and you look at it, this is to your point, this triggered this thought, 7 takeaways. This team has 7 takeaways in 3 postseason games. It's why they're here. They were able to take it away from the Packers. One of the biggest plays in that Bucs Saints game was the strip of Jared Cook on a slant pattern. He's got a plus gain, and he's got a double-digit gain. All of a sudden, the ball hacks out, bounces right up into Devin White, and off he's running. And I give this a compliment to this team because that's the way they played in the playoffs. They ain't going to change a whole lot, but they're coming after you to try to rip your face off, and that has had an effect on all 3 of their opponents in the postseason.
And also because if you start hitting receivers late down the field, you talk about in routes, bend routes, slants. When you start getting hit and the ball starts to float a little bit, that's what leads to those tip passes, the defensive speed off of. The last play of the Saints game, Drew Brees throws a ball to a receiver. He goes up. He's about to get hit. So you see him clinch up and cringe a little bit. He gets those alligator arms. Tip ball, their safety intercepts the ball, stays in bounds. Like we said, man, they do have a good personnel in the back end. Button Jr., like we said, Whitehead, obviously Winfield Jr. Those guys got a lot of playoff mentality, a lot of instincts. But they're going to try to muddy the waters. They're going to try to make it as physical and intense ball game beyond the line of scrimmage so that their guys at the line of scrimmage has a chance to try to get home and sack Pat Mahomes.
Yeah, Murphy Bunting has 3 interceptions, 1 in each of the 3 games in the postseason. Again, this Defending the Kingdom episode, Super Bowl 55 preview, 60 minutes. Tick, 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 tick. 60 minutes. 10 possessions, 70 plays, and 60 game minutes. Now, I put my boards up for this game. I got them next to my Super Bowl 54 boards. But I put them up for the podcast, just say, well, there they are. That's what we got for Super Bowl 55. Put them side by side. And the reason is I could flip those boards over and get into this discussion that hasn't been talked about enough, in my opinion, and that is the emergence of this Chiefs defense in the postseason and their ability to try to get after Tom Brady. I don't think enough discussion has been there because the Buccaneers have their own injury issues on the offensive line. They're going to play a new right guard in this game, and the Chiefs were able to wreak some havoc against this Buc offensive front. I haven't heard enough chatter about that because that could become a tipping point in this game.
I like the fact that I'm not hearing it. I hope that's the secret sauce to the mystery mix that actually leads to us winning the Super Bowl is that our defense finds ways to get to Tom Brady, have him throwing the ball before he's ready. Because what we've seen, and even in the Green Bay game, they end up winning. There were 2 or 3 more balls that he threw up 50-50 that the Green Bay Packers just didn't intercept. They were definitely bad passes, interceptable. And at the end of the day, what we know is that Tom Brady is going to be in that 5x5 in the pocket. He's not mobile. He's not going to run. So any type of pressure right up the A and B gaps to start interfering with his ability to step up and deliver the ball, or making him deliver the ball and speed up his process so he delivers the ball a little bit sooner than he wants. All of those things are almost just as good as getting him on the ground and getting him sacked. He will give the ball away. He will throw it up for grabs. He has some great receivers that sometimes make his balls end up coming down with touchdowns and big plays, right? Godwin is no one to take for granted. Mike Evans is nobody. Scotty Miller, those guys, and obviously Antonio Brown. So they got a 4-pack of wide receivers and really 2 good tight ends with Gronk and Cameron Brate that can actually come down with some of those 50-50 balls. But what I believe is that pressure them up the gap, those A gap and B gaps, get them uncomfortable really early. That's kind of what we did early in the ball game when we went down to Tampa Bay. His process to me has been sped up because of pressure. He's feeling pressure. And I don't want to say that Father Time has caught up with Tom Brady, but he is not the same Tom Brady he was 20 years ago when he was leading that dynasty in New England. He's a different man, and I think we got to expose him for who he is right now here when we get to the Super Bowl in Tampa Bay.
To dovetail on your point, we're going to throw some numbers out here. The first numbers I got to give credit to Matt Stat. Our man, Matt McMullen, loves churning those numbers, but he came up with some good ones here. And the fact that Brady this year is 3-5 when he is pressured. Now, I'm not talking sacks. This is to your point. Pressured 10 plus times. He's 3-5. Less than 10, he's 11-0.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Figure this out. The Chiefs got to him, pressured him 11 times in that game in November. And keep in mind, the Chiefs are going in to make that 24-0 at the midpoint of the second quarter. That was when the sack strip fumble happened on Mahomes by Shaq Barrett, recovered by Golston, and the game kind of flipped back, and the Chiefs win at 27-24. But it was this close to being 24-0 in the second quarter. Here's the other thing. When the Chiefs, against the pressure and the blitzes, we know the Chiefs love to blitz, all kinds of blitzes. They're fourth in the league in the number of blitzes percentage-wise. In that game, in blitzing Brady, when he was pressured and blitzed by Spags, 3 of 8 for 24 yards, an interception on 4 different pressures. And that's a next-gen stat, taking a look at that. So here you go. When you look at the pressures, you don't have to sack him, but if you pressure him, if you hurry him, things get kind of sped up on him. Even the GOAT, even the guy that's got 6 Super Bowl championships, has shown the propensity something good can happen for the Chiefs if they pressure Brady enough.
Man, the one thing we realized in this game is not going to be the best offense. It's going to be the best team. And I think the one thing about Tom Brady's legacy that a lot of people sometimes forget, how many times has the defense rose up to win the Patriots a ball game and cover a lot of the mistakes that Tom Brady made during the game? I mean, the one that jumps up to me is at the end of the Seattle Seahawks game. Seattle Seahawks are down by 4 on the 2-yard line, throw a slant, the defense comes up with this interception, and they win the ball game. A clean ball game by Tom Brady. That wasn't one of his best games. And then the numerous times we talk about Steve Spagnuolo, against those Giants, right? Against that Giants defense, it's really similar to what we got going on here. Wink, wink. He hasn't had his best times and moments when you talk about Super Bowl against Steve Spagnuolo. So I look for all of that stuff to come to a head, all of that stuff to come to the surface. And like you said, I'm looking for the most exciting, energetic, playing like your hair is on fire style of defense and offense and special teams from our Kansas City Chiefs as we go to Tampa. Yes, it might be a road game because we're going on the road. We ain't leaving until Saturday, but we were 8-0 on the road this year. We were better on the road than we were at home. We know how to take care of business when it's time to go. This team, when they get focused, laser focused, Big Red has his guys ready to go. When his guys are ready to go, there's no team, and I mean no team, better than our Kansas City Chiefs.
And these blitzers, these fast blitzers, Snead has become an outstanding blitzer. We know Daniel Sorensen can do it. The Honey Badger, when they come, it's quick and fast. And the offensive linemen have a very difficult time, or even the backs, to block. We're going to close this way because to me it's a key point. Well, we'll stay on this defense versus Bucs offense. And we're going to close this way because to me, Tom Brady, we know how incredible his career has been. But the second reason the Bucs are in this game, 1, their defense taking the ball away 7 times in 3 games. 2, it seems like Brady's getting back to his New England-ness. And here's why I'm saying it. He has targeted Leonard Fournette, the running back, in the playoffs 17 times with 14 receptions. The tight ends combined have 23 targets. That's 37 targets to the running backs and tight ends in these 3 playoff games, 31 for the wide receivers. I'm with you. Good wide receiver core. Evans is a red zone monster, the best. Throwing fades, corners in the red zone. Nobody's doing it better in the league. Scotty Miller had that big play. He's now, I guess, the fastest player in the NFL. All right. We know AB. We saw Antonio Brown and what he can do. We also know Godwin has emerged. However, what do we see in here, Shop? Because to me, what I'm seeing coming back is the focus, the peripheral vision goes down to these 60 minutes. It's Tom Brady back to his New England days. Where are my running backs? Where are my tight ends?
Definitely. Our defense is going to be, we're going to know what those guys are. We're going to know that he loves to get the ball out of his hand. We know that. He doesn't want pressure. He doesn't want to feel pressure. He knows that, getting the ball in the playmaker's hand and letting them make plays, that's the way to matriculate and get the ball down the field. And obviously their running game it's come along in the postseason too. And that was something that we held them to almost non-factor in that first half when we played them in week 12. So we got to, like I said, our defense has been working on things week in and week out. Sometimes the things we work on a certain week didn't match up against the other team's offense, but we knew that the process was greater than the product. We weren't worrying about that one individual game as much as we have some things defensively to work on. It works on trust, communication, reliability, sacrifice, all the things that make you a great defense. And then when week 12 came, We looked around. We knew who he was. We tightened the screws. Everybody started tightening the screws. This defense got nasty. It got gnarly. It started getting pressure. Come playoffs, Frank Clark, the shark, was let loose. We got the shark in the water. So now this defense is playing at an all-time high. Everybody trusts each other. Everybody knows, has utmost confidence in each other. And now when you're in offense, yeah, you know we're going to bring 5, maybe 6, but you just don't know what 5 or 6. Like you said, we got 4 D linemen, a linebacker. We got 2 safeties and a nickelback. Any of those 8 players can come from any direction. You don't know where it's coming. And just the idea that we are bringing pressure will start to speed up that timer for Tom Brady. And so, man, this is going to be a great matchup. It ain't going to be checkers. It's definitely going to be chess. And so I can't wait to see Coach Spagnuolo, Coach Bieniemy. Let's not forget Coach Dave Tobe and those special teams. When they're unleashed on Tampa Bay, we're going to see Kansas City go about it and handle business, run it back. Let's go back-to-back. And like Frank Clark said, what are you going to do after you win back-to-back? Go back-to-back to back.
All right, and a tip of the cap. There we are. Yep, there we go. A tip of the cap to Alex Okafor, Andrew Wiley, Juan Thornhill, and Darrell Williams. Because, guys, you get this shot a year later. You're in this game, and you're going to help the Chiefs win. So, Shawn Barber, Spider-Man, Barbershop, tick, 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 tick. 60 minutes, 70 plays, 10 possessions. It's time, man. I can see the top of the mountain again. It is time to run it back.